Hey everybody, this is a little amendment or correction to help save you guys a lot of frustration. A mistake that I made when I installed the floor here, and I mentioned it, or I will mention it later on in the video, about these little marks here. Okay. I did not notice these little marks before. I don't know if they were full of undercoat or what the deal was. Anyhow, they need to be basically centered in these brackets. Okay. There isn't one here other than that hole. And let me get a light on the subject. Other than that hole. Okay. And there's one here. Now it doesn't seem to be as far off, but still needs to be centered in that bracket. Now, in the video you will see that these brackets had a big gap in between, it's hard to hold this light and show you, in between that inner rocker panel and the bracket. So I will be doing a lot of work there. Let's go to this side. That side is right where it needs to be, pretty much. I mean, it could be 1/8 of an inch moved, but again, that was one of the brackets that took a lot of work to move it in. That hole seems to be pretty close to center. That's not as far off, but again, needs to be centered. Okay. Now, your bolt holes have plenty of adjustment. So I've had no problem bolting it up. Yeah, it was a little off, but as you can see, there's plenty of adjustment. But you can also see that hole's towards the back. Okay, I had it bolted up and I've not moved it. And I'll show you something else inside. Now, this bracket has very little adjustment to it. This bracket is the problem. I had all my bolts in place before I took everything out. Every one of these bolts were in. I don't know what exactly happened, but when I went to set things back down, bolt things up so I could put the toe pan in, these wouldn't line up. And you can tell by, this is where the bolt hole was. Okay. So I'm paying for this misalignment right here because this isn't lined up. I will keep paying for that in little things, maybe how the bumper fits, because what has happened, I did a little let's call fabricating. Okay, these were all good. I can make line up. This one was not good. I moved this hole that way. It now lines up, but I will pay for it somewhere else. I guarantee it. Now, I don't have a problem with the body being forward, let's say. Or maybe it's, let's see, floor was forward, the body's actually back. So, anyway, I've moved everything forward to get it to where it sat originally before I even took it apart. So I have my gaps here between the tire like it was before I tore everything apart. So, and I mean that's with the big tires on. So, anyhow, this lines up. That all lines up. Like I said, you get happy mediums with this stuff sometimes, and you go with it. So I wanted to make that little correction and be clear on that if you're looking at this video to install a floor pan in a Chevelle. That's going to be it's going to be critical. Pay attention to those little marks. Make sure that they line up and do whatever you have to do to make them line up, because it's going to save you some trouble in the long run. So please learn by my mistakes, and that's why I'm doing this video. I'm human, I make mistakes, and I hope that you will learn from mine and you don't do the same things I did. So anyhow, I've learned a lot of things from other people on YouTube. Saved me a lot of problems on certain things, like cutting the frame, putting the back half in, cutting the rear end. Never done the rear end before, never put a back half in before, but it's going, and it's going in, and you know, you followed those videos, that went in, and that is not off. So, anyhow, thanks for watching. Keep watching, and hope you learn from my mistakes. Good afternoon, everyone. Working on the floor of the Chevelle today. Kind of took a break from the trunk so I can ponder on how I want to do that. So now what I'm looking at is the floor pan. Well, first off, I've got to cut out the existing roll bar that comes over into this area, and I don't want to just hack it off, because I'm taking out part of this rocker flange that I'm going to need. So I have to surgically try to remove this. Now underneath, I have found out from doing a little cleaning of the undercoat that there's a flange here, and I believe that comes up off the rocker and then attaches to the floor. If I go over to the floor pan, because it doesn't have the rocker sides on it, which I wanted to get, but they didn't have. It has this little flange. I don't know why it has that little flange, because if I put this in, this won't butt up to the rocker panel from how I'm looking at it. Alright, I'm just looking to make sure. Yeah, it's says it's the right one by the sticker. So I'm going to show you. Unlock that. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Let me lower this down. have this flange that comes off the outside rocker that goes over the floor. And I have the inside flange from the rocker that attaches, comes up to about here and attaches this way to the floor. And then the brace attaches to the side of the floor. Doesn't have that extra flange. So when I cut the floor out, I'm going to do a rough cut. I'm just going to go right through here. Drop the floor out. That's after I do cross bracing and everything to help support the body. 'Cause once I take the floor out, it's all on here. I can't. I can't do anything. I might have to actually put a jack stand in that corner, in this corner. So I don't have these in the way. Anyway, thinking out loud, thinking of the process, everything's thinking, look, and figure it out. I got to keep this flange that goes over the floor, but see, this is what's kind of messing me up, is this flange. I don't see where that's existing on the. See, if it was folded this way, I could understand. I may have to. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at this. I gotta figure it out. You guys aren't gonna want to watch me stand here and look like I'm having a stroke trying to figure this out. So I'm gonna shut the camera off. Figure it out. I might even. I don't know at this point. I'm going to figure it out, and I will get back to you and turn the camera on. Okay, well, I've got the roll bar cut loose. I'm going to remove these pads. So, have a little more room to move it around with. Took a combination of a cutting wheel on a grinder, air chisel, hammer, screwdriver to break all these loose, because they were right up next to this flange here. I'll show you. Right up next to this flange. So I was able to cut out most of it, and I just cut out the floor with it. But I didn't want to hack the floor out here, so I had to cut just through the plate. Use the chisel, the cutoff chisel, to cut this part. Well, actually, I did use the grinder on this one. It was this one. Used the chisel to cut across here with. But see, that flange, I don't know if you can see underneath, but Set you up inside here and watch me wiggle this thing out. It ought to be interesting. Oh, I didn't want to tear that, but I did. Hey. Luckily, I have the easy access bar on the driver's side. Otherwise, if I didn't, I doubt if I'd be able to get this out in one piece. It'd be easier with two people. Sorry about the butt shot, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do. somewhere. Just catches one stupid little thing. Okay, we're on a roll. Back. Okay, roll bars out. Now see, the floor has that flange from the top, and it sandwiches the floor in between, or something. Figure that out somehow. And there's another flange, one I was talking about. Oops, sorry. Underneath, and that comes from the rocker, comes up from the rocker and then this way. So then we've got a flange comes this way and over, and this way over. So pinches the floor, looks like in between the two, makes a stronger hold. Problem is going to be this bottom flange, but I'll look at it. It's nothing I haven't done before, so. Okay, I'm gonna do some rough cutting, probably turn the camera on so you can watch that, but I'll be back in a second. Okay, well, now I'm going to, before I rough cut this floor out, we have to set some cross braces in. Make sure when I do cut the floor out, things don't spread apart. That's what we're going to do now. our welder on. afternoon, everybody. Yep, good afternoon. Well, today we're going to attack the floor. So what I've done is I did have this cut loose that supported the frame. I've re-leveled that back out again as best I could, re-welded it. So the body is sitting on mounts, that's silver parts, new mounts, and sitting on the frame, which is secure to my jig. I put my cross sections in, as you saw, so that should support everything, keep the body from twisting on me once I cut this whole floor pan out, to then put that floor pan in, the one from NPD. So I'm going to suit up, get my gloves on, my sleeves on, my helmet on, and I'm going to get dirty, because grinding, cutting, and sawing is not a clean job. So we'll get started in just a minute. I'm up inside the car, I'm suited up. No, I'm not going to cut all the way around this and then the floor falls out and I'm still in here. I'm going to cut certain sections that I need to get to in the center, and then I'm going to be outside the car and cut the rest. I'm going to roughly cut this out, and then I'll have to come back around the edges and trim everything up and get it ready for the new floor. So here we go. You need to take those out. Pretty old. something I did. It's not going to matter at this point because I lifted this up. But anyhow, like I said, I squared up the frame, got the frame level. So when I lower the body back down, I at least have some reference to go by. Something I found interesting when I took all the old body mounts off. This bolt here and there, I don't know if you can even see it, sorry, wasn't there on either side. Didn't even have a body mount. Now there used to be a body mount up in this area, but as you can see, that's gone. So I don't know if they just it was a Friday when they did that, or exactly what was going on. But we will put it back and utilize it with the new floor. So got to do some more cutting. I'll put you up here so you don't have a lot of vibration going on. That kind of buzzing sound you've heard through all my videos are fans. I cannot work out here without fans. I would be drenched in sweat, even though I am anyway. It would be worse. Things apart. Takes forever to put them back together. thought I'd use my grinder more than I did. Okay. I left that brace for now. I'll trim that out the very last. The foot area, the floor stops here. I'll have to trim the tunnel or figure out if I'm going to replace that firewall. It will have a heater delete, which is convenient. Otherwise, I'll have to use the center tunnel still and put in new panels, foot panels that go up in that area. Anyway, there we are. So now I'm going to come back. I have this flange that I need to drill out spot welds for. Then on the inside, probably can't see. Anyway, up under here as well. figure out just how I'm going to do this. So I'll get busy on that for a little bit. You don't need to watch it all. It's boring. My videos have gotten way too long. So I'll stop for now and get back to you. Okay, I'm in the car. If you want to call it that. I'm standing in the center of the car. But anyhow, I came back, cleaned up my edges, so now I can plainly see my spot weld. Get that light out of the way and do it this way. How about that? So, and the way that I did this was this wheel and this grinder. Simply cleaning that whole paint off, but leaving enough so it sits down inside little spot welds. Something that I was talking about before, this flange, there's another flange underneath, and then the floor pan goes in between the two. So this kind of shows what's happening. This is, which would be this top flange, only it's part of this panel. Okay, this is the top panel. That's the floor pan. And then that's the flange underneath that actually attaches to this side rocker. That is what I can tell. I cleaned some undercoating off on another spot, and that's what I'm getting at. And you can kind of see it in the layers. Right there. So, interesting little dilemma I have, because I don't know how right now I'm going to, you can't see, and it might give me a different story. I see a split. I'll do some more cleaning. I'll do some more cleaning. See what I come up with. I think I cleaned it over here somewhere. Well, that'll show you right there. You can see the flange. I tore that up. Good. See the flange there that comes off. There it is, off the there. Now you can see off the inner rocker, and then attaches to the bottom of the floor pan, which is in between. I need 10 hands in between that flange. And then we'll have the brace that comes down. So, you know, and according to my floor pan over there, they've got an extra flange on it that points down. Well, I've shown you all that. It doesn't make any sense. I did call National Parts Depot on it. They're going to get back with me and see what's going on. Meanwhile, I've got plenty of work to do before they get back to me on that. So let's get busy. Using a 1/8 drill, do basically a center punch or a little divot inside the spot weld. Then I will come back my little handy dandy spot weld tool, and it has that little point in it. That little point actually gives. Used to drill the 1/8 through all the time, but I recently just thinking, well, I just need a little divot, to be honest with you. It'll hold it centered, and that works. I actually kind of got the idea from somebody else. They were using a center punch and punching the little divot, and hit it with a hammer and doing that, and I tried doing that. Did not work for me at all. So I thought, well, why can't I just use the 1/8 drill bit, make a little bit deeper little divot, and that seems to work quite well. So I'm going to continue doing this, and keep working at it, and I'll get back to you again. Stop recording. Okay, next step, have everything drilled with the hole cutter. I'm going to start. If I can do it with this, I will. They drop right out. It'll be great. If they don't, then I will get out my air chisel. Yeah, air chisel. So I'm going to pick away. That one went nicely. What is the next one? What is that one? And it really shouldn't take more than that. So you have to be careful so you're not don't stab yourself. You still have that center that's in there, so when you're driving this in, make sure you're not driving that center, okay, because that's not cut out, that's still welded, that's the spot weld, so you got to get it up over that center, and things should just pop right loose. And it looks like I missed one. Pieces still in there. sometimes the little circles get stuck in there. Then you don't have a center anymore. And like I was saying, because the camera shut off, that little center keeps that little centering tool pushed in, and then you can't cut anymore. So I'll dig this out and we'll continue. Okay, I've been chiseling away, drilling, finding things out. So what I have found out is the spot welds here they put in go all the way through to the underside of the inner rocker panel. So if you drill them completely through, you get both sides. Saves a lot of time. Now, just as I suspected, this is the floor pan. This was pinched in between those two and then spot welded. So, it is going to be an interesting task to figure out how that floor goes in. May have to cut this flange off of the lower rocker panel. Sorry, shining that light in everybody's face. So cut this flange off the lower rocker panel, and then the floor pan will actually spot weld to this. So it'll take the place of that. And then this will spot weld to the top of the floor pan. Now the other dilemma that I have is the braces from the other floor pan. That flange that comes down in this direction here is in between that. Now they have a gap in between that flange and these brackets, about that much in some cases. So it's going to be interesting, but we'll keep hammering away, chiseling, drilling until we get this thing all cleaned up and figure out how we're going to get that pan in here. But we will get a pan in here, one way, shape, or form. So I got the piece out from in between the inner rocker flange and the upper sill, if you want to call it, with step plate, rocker, whatever. Anyway, that was in between the two of them. So we got that out. We found some other goodies. I'm going to try to show you. Hiding inside. Well, if you could only see how I'm holding this. See it? There, you can see it. 52 years of whatever, 54. And back here, which you can't really see, looks like a rat's nest. So I'm going to figure out a way to get that out of there, because I just can't leave it. Especially if I start spot welding on stuff. That's going to catch on fire in there and I won't ever get it out. But I guess if it caught on fire, oh well, it'd burn up inside. Just kidding. But anyway, I have this little friend up here. Just been in the car for many, many years. And it's set up here on the dash. The reason it's set up there on the dash is because there was a mouse or something inside here one time, up in the dash of it, in the vents and whatnot, and kind of stunk after a while. So those are from my graduation, 1985, many, many years ago. So I guess I'll take those in the house. And then that's from, yeah, that's still 85. So, alrighty. Until next time, we'll be doing some more stuff. Get back with you. Hey everyone. Okay, after trimming that out, figuring out how the factory did it, and then looking at the aftermarket floor and what they've done there, talking with the manufacturers or NPD on it, and I haven't got feedback from the tech yet, but I have a feeling what they were wanting to do is, because that was, you know, pinched, the floor's pinched in between these two pieces. Well, obviously we can't do that. What can be done simply, easily, is cut your floor off flush with these two pieces here. That's how it comes out. It's perfectly flush. Go back through, and you can use the old spot welds, or you can go in between the spot welds. The drill holes through there, as big as these spot welds, if not a little bigger. It's up to you. But weld through all three pieces to the new floor pan, which is going to, I wish I could get the light to do what I wanted. The old floor pan is going to come up to here, fit flush to here, and then the flange comes down to here. So then you're going to spot weld that flange to the inside of the rocker panel. Or at least that's what I'm going to do now. And I have, like I said, I have a feeling that's how they plan to do it. Now, I'm going to clean all this mess back up. Put my flanges back together, do some tacks, make it hold together. And I'll just weld through these holes here. So I've got more cleaning to do up front here. I gotta remove that section of floor. I'm going to check on the patch panels. Like I said, mentioned before, I may replace that whole inner firewall, and I will show you where that goes. And then I've got to cut this brace out. I've got to take these braces off. Now the only problem I have with the new floor, and I have not figured this out yet, that's why I'm waiting back from the tech, is we have that existing gap. Like I said, this will spot weld to the inner. This will spot weld to the inner rocker panel. Okay, but I'm having that gap issue here. Now I measured to this peak on each side, and it will come to here. It will meet flush, but it should meet all the way up. It should come all the way to this and then down. And it's not. Now this one's close. You know, that's okay. This one's okay. That one's not. Again, sometimes that happens with your aftermarket stuff. You got to do a little fabrication. If you can't do fabrication and put in aftermarket stuff, then you got to do something else. This one's not too bad at all. Okay, we can deal with that. No problem. Not too bad. A little wider. This one, pretty big. I'm going to have to work some magic on that, which then I'm going to have to get in here and bend this in to get it to do what I want. So we will get it in there. We will get it to do what I want, and it will fit and look nice. Just going to take a little work. So we're going to get on that and see you when that happens. Good afternoon. So after heavy thinking and looking at the floor, and I guess probably went over this yesterday, but anyway, the design of the floor that I'm gathering is to just come up and butt up against this. So I straighten this out, tack this back together in a couple little spots. So we're good to go there. Now you're wondering, probably, why did I do that? Well, so I can get that stuff out of there. Little mouse nest, I guess. Bunch of acorns, leaves. You wonder how they even get up in there, but basically that's how. So I'm going to put a vacuum in one end and an air hose in the other end and get that cleaned out. So that'll take a minute. Let's see what happens. Let me get my phone set up on my stand, my camera set up on the stand, and I'll be right back. Okay. Clean it. Now I've already blown this part. Let's see what this is about. Not a very good vacuum. Right in my carpet. Hole over there, blowing that. Okay, I'm going to have to clean this vacuum out, see if it works on it better. Like that. Pretty full. Okay, be right back. I'm gonna dump all this out. It was pretty full. And I don't have another bag, so milking this one along. Okay, that was fun. So, much better. Also wanted to see how rusty that was, and that's not terrible. So I'm sure that you can see I cut these little squares right where the brackets go. So I'll fold this back up, tack it, then the brackets will hide the imperfection. So, all right, we got to do some cleaning. Finish cutting this brace out on this side. Take these two bracket pieces off, and again take this off. What I'm using to, or what I'm going to use to clean this up with, basically this wire wheel. Some people like to use the flat wire wheels. I use the cone shape. The flat ones, I've had the wires fly out and stick me before. So that's why I use the cone shape. I haven't had that happen as often. Alright, Allie, we'll see you in a minute. Okay. Cleaning this up. I don't know if you guys know, but this is galvanized, as well as that outer rocker is galvanized. That's why they don't rust out quite as bad. As you can see, there's undercoating on there. Try to grind that off or wire wheel it off, it's just not going to happen. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Slow, tedious process. You gotta have patience, but it works great. Now, if I were to try to do that without that, yeah, see? I mean, it won't go anywhere. Heat it up. Some little propane torch. Off it comes. So, heated that up a little more. Just trying not to melt my light. Trying to get some better lighting going on. It's not working as planned. had a gentleman one time come in. This is when we were doing restoration. And he wanted his Challenger, all the old undercoat removed, and it just put in like a factory primer. So look at that. So this is what we had to do. Heat it, scrape it. Heat it, scrape it. All this stuff's gonna do is clog up your wire wheels, and your grinding disc, sandpaper, whatever. Move that. Let's take that off. My luck, I'll catch my arm on it. Yeah, you can't see that anyway. So you get the idea. We've got some cleaning to do. Hello again, everybody. Inside, I put up more reinforcement. This bar back here, put one up front that you can't see, and I'm getting ready to cut out this floor brace. So, fingers crossed, it doesn't do the splits. It shouldn't. We should be fine. Once I do that, I get these two sides prepped that I need to. I can go get the floor, slip it underneath, lower the body down on top of it. We're going to do what I call a dry fit. I haven't cut anything. I haven't trimmed anything. And actually, I'm going to have to cut this off first before I do a dry fit. So once I do that, then I'll slip it under, lower the body down, see where the brackets are, the floor, how it's going to fit, make my adjustments accordingly. Sawzall, nothing real smooth about it. I do have kind of a rough tooth, coarse tooth on here. Could have used a smoother one, but just wanted to rip through stuff. There's that. Still standing. I'm gonna water brush my spot welds so I can see to drill them out. I don't know any better spot to put you so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, got my air hose in here. I don't know if you can see this mess down here. See all that? Fun to work around. But you gotta have it because, as you can see, how many tools did I just use. Okay. Next tool. Okay, well, that is trimmed out, so I still gotta go figure out exactly what I'm gonna trim on the other floor pan, the new one, and come back and we'll get it put in. See you in a minute. Again. Hello, hello. We're putting in the floor today, or we're gonna try. So, as you saw earlier, floor up underneath, and I'm slowly lowering the body down. Ran into a snag. This lip came out to here. That was hitting this. So I snipped it off. This is where the front foot pan, toe pan I guess they would call it, overlaps. So I'm not worried about this, welding up to here. There's going to be plenty. And I've got the toe pan as well. I cut all this off. So I've got the new tow pan over there. So I did that on both sides. I pushed these in a little bit so they stop hitting here on the rocker. So we're just easing it up and down, working it in there, making sure things are lined up. It's just a slow and tedious process. So let's bring it down one more time. See, here we go again. The other side is popping, so I'm going to bump that. Still hitting right there. And it was hitting on the other side too. See what we can do. We'll be lowering it back down. I gotta go back down with it. I gotta prep the outside of these, drill holes in it. Same with the brackets. I don't know if any of you have noticed what I've just noticed, and that's why we dry fit. This whole thing is in the way of this going up any farther. So I'm going to have to cut this out, which this is, you know. See what this is the side rocker. Okay? The side rocker came up and out. The floor then went over this, and then the outer rocker went over the top of that. Made a pinch, they welded through it, boom, nice and sturdy. Well, obviously we can't do that with this. So I'm going to cut this away, make room for it. I'm probably going to prep the floor while I've got this back down and out of the way, and go from there. So I'll be back. Okay, everybody, let me turn this down a little bit. So I've got the floor up inside, like I said before. I put my little screws in every so many inches. I lined up my brace bolts. My bolts are in. I should be able to lift it up, and it'll just, because the brace bolts are much bigger than the shaft, and the body mount should actually pull out. So I put the 2 screws in that because that was hanging about that far low, and yes, this should go a little bit farther forward, or this part should be a little bit farther forward. But anyhow, we've got it in there. Looking at this, yeah, that's what this should go underneath the floor, not like how I have it this way. This round off part should be under the floor. Again, not keeping that. The whole toe pan up in here, it's all going. The seam goes right here. So I'm going to lift this up and see what happens this time. Make sure it doesn't fall out. Okay. Checking my lift. Should be okay. Don't like it when things pop. Probably cut the edge of my frame, which, oh well. Or it was the whole floor pan popping. I don't know. We'll go a little higher and see what happens. It's screwed in. Shouldn't just fall out. Well, that, okay. There's probably a body mount. That's the arms shifting on the tires. Make a lot of noise when things are loose. Okay. A little nerve-wracking there. Popping, cracking, scratching. Yeah, I've got a tight fit around the back frame. So, what I wanted to see was that and that. That's okay. That one we can make that one work. Not a problem. Go on the other side. My lighting. Let's see this. The gap there. It's just what I thought. So we've got to do a little massage work. Make things line up. And the back of the light. But it's going in. We're getting there. So I'm going to bring it back down. Going to tack a couple spots. And then lift it back up again. And work on those braces. So we'll see you in a minute. Ow. Anyway, sitting on a hot spot. Going to tack in a couple of these spots. I'm not doing all of them. Why? I don't know. Just don't feel like it right now. Just want to get it set in place. And going to tack a spot. Bouncing the camera around. Is what it is. Now when I do this, I have some pretty big holes here because I had to drill out the old welds. Didn't have to, but I made them bigger because of how thick this is, roughly 1/8 of an inch. But this sheet metal here, I'm not sure. It's probably around 20. Between 18 and 20, I don't remember the specs, but anyhow. So I'm welding to that, which is much thinner. So I'm going to be doing some small spots, little welds, and then filling up this hole. You can see that. I'm running it hot because I want good penetration and I want it flat. I don't want a big old boogery weld. Now if you heard the weld correctly, kind of went hollow in a sense. That's because I burnt through the other side, and then I had to come back and fill it in. Just don't want to do that, because that makes a mess on the other side, which is not that easy to get to as far as grinding a weld off or something. Yeah, it'll get seam sealer, but it still looks like a big booger on the backside. Try another one and see. That sheet metal back there isn't flush up against that, so I'm hesitant. I'm just going to see if I can get to it from the back side and get it flush. That's probably why I burnt through. Better. See, on the back side, the sheet metal comes down, okay, well, this is the floor, comes out and then comes down a little bit, probably about that much. That's what I'm welding to. So, it's also, in some spots, not some spots, a lot of spots, gapped away from the inner wheel well. So, trying to okay, I'm just going to weld the spots that are flush, which is that. There's another one there, and I'll see if there's one back there. Then I'm going to lift it back up, and I'm going to work the underneath and get all that sheet metal up and flush as much as I can before I continue welding from up here. I've got these screws in, so that'll help. So let me do that, and once I get it back up in the air, we'll do some of that. Alrighty, we're under the car. And those braces that I was showing you that were widely gapped, which that's not because I straightened it out. And the way I did that is basically trying to find a place to hang the light. Basically, oh, come on. Wires everywhere, you know, all I need now is a mud puddle. Light shining in my face, not where I want it. Okay, well, best we can. Use this tool here. I struck it up there at the top. Light just fell down. Okay, well, you can't see it. I can't get a light on it. It keeps falling. Hold it this way, maybe. So, use the hammer. I use this. Hit it up there at the top. Both sides. Drove it up into the corner. Then, down a little farther. Then on this corner. Once I got it close, then I used this hammer, bottom hammer, and tacked it in and got it even more fine-tuned. Actually, I hit the back side, the face of it, with the big hammer. This one. So, that's how we got everything to fit. I'm not done with this yet. Once I get these welded in, got that one welded in, that one welded in, and I'm working on the others as we speak. So, the scary part is that thing hanging above your head on the lift while you're beating the heck out of those brackets. So that's where we are. I'm going to weld these brackets in, straighten up that sheet metal, and we'll be back. Okay. Today I'm going to start flattening out this sheet metal and get it tacked in the holes. And you see where I went through. Gotta get that stuff cleaned up. Camera shut off. Anyway, like I was saying, the light shut off. Clean this up. Get these tacked in. Get everything straightened up and done underneath here. And we'll be good to go. Okay, we got everything packed down, spot welded, and we're good to go. So I'll come back and grind and clean these welds up and the boogers that I have, so that I can put some seam sealer on them. Now I noticed something that might have been helpful later on is this little drain hole right there. I don't know, I'm assuming it lined up in the middle of these brackets. There isn't one here. There's one here. This one's a little farther off. This one not so bad. There's one there. This one's pretty close. So, could you use those to help line things up? Sure, possibly. Problem that I had was I was all the way to the back. You know, did I have a little room? Could I have bent this over? This right here? Probably. Is it going to be that critical? I don't know. I don't think so. Look at all the movement that you have here. That's your adjustment from body to frame. Now I made sure that my bolts were all lined up with my holes in my frame. The funny part with this hole is this is a different size hole than the rest of them. And in the rubber kit, they don't fit. So anyway, getting back to the story, my holes in the body did not line up in these in the factory floor. They barely came to here versus in the center. You know, and the other part is this body mount and bolt wasn't even there. It was gone. It was nothing. So, go figure. I guess that's why they put so much adjustment in there, which is, you know, which is good. It's forgiving. So, next thing I'm going to have to do while I'm down here is this bolt inside this hole. That's for the fender. That broke off. That bolt spun inside there. So I had to rig something like this to make it work, which really doesn't work that great. So I'm going to see if I can't somehow open that up and put a bolt back in it, or nut. I keep calling it a bolt, I don't know why. So anyway, that's another little project. So, like I said, I'm going to do some grinding under here, get these cleaned up, let her down, do some welding up top, and see when that happens. Okay, everybody, floor is in. Everything is ground off. I'm going to spray a little welding primer back on this just to keep it from rusting for later on. What will happen after that? I'd grind that a little bit more. Seam sealer will go across it. You could probably come back and you know, wipe a little body filler in these little indentations that are left. Clean that up, because some of that stuff will show through even seam sealer, but it's all getting covered. It's my car, it's not for someone else, so I know that won't ever be seen except by me. So on to the next project. That's the tow pan. See you then.